You know, our next speaker is passionate about the development of human potential. In fact, Vicki Walker believes that everyone has an untapped potential within themselves. Today, she's going to help us tap that potential so you can achieve your goals. Please welcome Vicki Ryder.
So why is it then that human beings only ever achieve about 10% of their potential? Why do we only ever achieve about 10% of our potential? Fear, lack of knowledge, no confidence, limiting beliefs, all of those things are true, aren't they? But where's the instruction manual? The app? Who teaches us how to get the best out of ourselves? We go to school, there's no instruction manual. We turn up to work, there's no instruction manual. And in general, we don't get an instruction manual for how to get the best out of ourselves in life. Ladies and gentlemen, I need your undivided attention for the next 15 minutes because I am going to give you the introduction to the manual that most of us have never been given. There's three things that drive all of our behaviour. The first, internal images. The way that we imagine things to turn out will have an impact on the outcome. We walk around with a set of emotional scales, constantly weighing things up, and we will do whatever gets us out of that action. The second thing that drives all of our behaviour is our self-talk. The way that we feel is based on the questions that we ask ourselves. Ask better questions and get better quality answers. How many times a day do you ask yourself a question that limits your intelligence, ability, or skill? Now, if your goal was to get up at 6 a.m. and go to the gym, and you asked yourself if you feel like getting out of bed today, what answer do you think your brain would give you? Of course not. You're tired. You went yesterday. You can go tomorrow. You already look amazing. The brain will create an excuse, a justification, and a rationale to get you out of taking that action and to make you feel better about your choice. Now, the voice operates on a continuum of positive to negative. It's that soft, soothing voice that says, just roll over. Or it's the commanding voice, the voice that acts like a really good coach or teacher that says, just get out of bed. The voice is the last cognitive event that happens before any action is taken. It is the final instruction that we give ourselves that either rolls us over or gets us out of bed. Now, we need to pay attention to the voice so that we can strategically influence it. The third thing that drives all of our behaviour is our posture, the way that we carry ourselves, our physiology. The brain is constantly looking to interpret our posture, and its primary function is to know what goes on in the body. When you're angry, how do you know? Our body does anger. Our foot comes forward, our finger points, chest muscles tighten, our voice raises. Our body does anger. How do you know when you're sad? Our body does sadness. Quickest way to changing our emotional state is to actually change our physiology. Now, we need to pay attention to the interconnectivity between all three of these things, because all three of them impact each other and all three of them affect each other. Now, who's familiar with the study that was done with Pavlov's dogs, where they rung a bell and showed a chop, and rung a bell and showed a chop, and rung a bell and showed a chop, and the dogs started salivating. And then they just started ringing the bell, and the dogs continued to salivate. You see, the brain does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. We can trigger all of the physical symptoms of fear and failure by simply imagining an event not turning out very well, But the reverse is also true. We can trigger all of the physical symptoms of success and confidence by recalling previous times from our past where we felt good and where we had success. Now, if I asked you to think about a time where you felt at your best, you were motivated, confident, or even just excited, and I asked you to go back to that time right now and see what you saw and hear what you heard and feel all of those feelings again, what happens? All of those same feelings come back again, don't they? But what would happen if I asked you to recall all of your previous disappointments and failures? We'd become an expert in being depressed, wouldn't we? So we can use this information to our best advantage or to our detriment. Before a major meeting, an important presentation, or even a sporting match, we should spend time recalling previous times from our past where we felt good and where we had success, so that we give ourselves every opportunity of producing a similar result. Because we have a little part of our brain called the reticular activating system, and it acts like a little antenna. When we program something into our reticular activating system, it goes off into the universe in order to bring it into our reality. Here's the problem. Most people focus on what they don't want and wonder why they end up manifesting it and bringing it into their lives. Our reticular activating system is just like a Google search engine or even a magnet. And it can be a blessing or it can be a curse, depending upon what you've programmed it for. You get what you focus on. So be very careful to focus on what it is that you want. Now, I've become fascinated with this emerging science of positive psychology, and specifically the work of Barbara Fredrickson and her work on positivity. Fredrickson determined that there's a positivity ratio, and that ratio is 3:1. That's 3 positive thoughts or feelings to every 1 negative thought or feeling. We either spiral up or we spiral down. Now, the brain is pessimistic by design and has a negativity bias. And so we need to be very conscious, deliberate, and very strategic in finding ways to make ourselves feel good so that we build and enhance our positivity ratio. Now, Fredrickson went on to team up with mathematician Marcel Lasada, and he determined that peak-performing teams have a ratio of 6:1. That's 6 positive, supporting and encouraging comments to every 1 negative, sarcastic or disapproval comment. He and his team would sit behind one-way mirrors in boardrooms and listen to the language that was being used by team members. And he determined that peak-performing teams have a ratio of 6:1. So if you're part of a team at work, how would your team rate when it comes to the work of Marcel Lasada? Now, Fredrickson went on to correlate profitability back to this positivity ratio. And she deemed that if your business has a positivity ratio of greater than 3:1, it's considered to be economically sound. Less than 3:1, and it's considered to be financially in trouble. Because of the way our brain works, we need to be conscious, deliberate, and very strategic in finding ways to make ourselves feel good so that we build and enhance our positivity ratio. We need to do this as individuals, but we also need to do it as part of a team. Now, one simple yet very effective tool that I use each night before I go to bed is this achievement journal. I am simply looking for 3 things in my day that went well, no matter how small, so that I can build and enhance my positivity ratio. In addition, I'm looking for 3 things I want to get done and achieve the following day because I know that I get what I focus on. So why do 85% of people fail to achieve their goals? Well, one of the key findings from a PhD conducted by Dr. Stephanie Burns found that there's 4 phases to any goal pursuit. And we would be well served to understand the goal achievement process before even learning how to set goals. Let's explore the 4 phases. The first phase is the selection phase. This is where we actually choose our goal. Now, if I asked you to think about something in your life that you want to achieve, losing weight, saving money, going on a holiday, getting a promotion, closing a major deal at work, when you think about the achievement of that goal, how does it make you feel? The emotions are generally quite positive, aren't they? Because the study showed that we step out into the future and we see ourselves already being that person. And the emotions are generally quite positive. However, the study also showed that as we get closer to the start date, where we physically need to start taking action towards the achievement of that goal, the emotions very quickly change to be quite negative. The reason that 85% of people fail to achieve their goals? Most people don't even start. If we are fortunate enough to push through the negative emotions in the selection phase, we hit the beginning phase, and this too is a risk. This is where we do start to take action. We get to the gym, and we get on the treadmill, and we look around, and we start to compare ourselves to all of the amazing looking toned people that have probably been there a very long period of time. And we realise how much effort is going to be involved to look anything like them, and we run the risk of quitting. We realise how much effort is going to be involved to achieve any real level of competence, and we run the risk of quitting. In fact, the study showed that we run the risk of quitting within 3 to 6 weeks of starting. Then we hit the middle phase, and this too is a danger. This is the boring, repetitious phase where we've learnt to do what we've learnt to do over and over and over again. And then finally, we hit the completion phase, and this too is also a risk. Close enough is good enough. We do a 3-year university course, and we don't take the final exam. We wanted to lose 12 kilos, but hey, we've lost 7. So let's go and celebrate with a nice little pepperoni pizza and a glass of Sauvignon Blanc. How many goals have you started that you haven't actually finished? So we'll have strengths and weaknesses in each one of these 4 areas dependent upon the goal. For weight loss, we might be a great starter, struggle through the middle and come home really strong. For saving money, we might struggle to start, be great through the middle, but finish poorly. We need a strategic approach to goal achievement and work out in advance where we think we're going to be strong and where we think we may struggle, and arm ourselves with a set of strategies to get us through those difficult phases. Ladies and gentlemen, 5 key strategies to achieve any goal. Don't think, don't ask, just do it. Do not ask yourself if you feel like getting out of bed today. Just give yourself a command to just do it. Just start the task. Get it done. Just do 10 minutes. It is honestly amazing what happens when you give yourself permission to stop. All of a sudden it becomes easier to keep going than it does to stop. 10 turns into 20, turns into 30 minutes. Write yourself a post-it note, just do 10 minutes, and watch what happens. The final strategy, always future-orientated, measure our progress backwards. We know that when we step out into the future and we see ourselves being the person that we've always wanted to be, the emotions are generally quite positive. And so this must be a strategy for goal achievement. However, to maintain our motivation, our self-esteem and our confidence, we need to look back at where we started and measure our progress backwards from the start. When we measure our progress backwards from the start, all of our progress is seen as success. We're actually moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a very short but relevant story to share because unfortunately my time with you has come to an end. I was asked to speak for Women's Network Australia, a global networking association. I hadn't been to a meeting before, but given that I was invited to speak, I thought I should get myself along to one of their luncheons and familiarise myself with the structure and the setup of the day. Like many people, when we're out of our comfort zone, it's scary. The voice kicks in. You don't know anyone. Who are you going to talk to? It doesn't matter how much training I've done or what I know about my brain. I suffer the same effects as everybody else. So I walk up to the registration desk and I notice two very distinct groups of ladies heavily involved in conversation. I give myself a command. Just go over there and introduce yourself. And that is exactly what I did. I walked straight over to one of the groups of ladies, went around the circle, shook everybody's hand, introduced myself, and by the time I got back to the first lady, she said, "Wow." She said, "Your energy is incredible." She said, "You walked in here and the whole room stopped. Your energy is incredible." And I said, "Oh, thank you very much." And I went and put down my handbag and I came back, and another lady, her name was Polly. Polly was an elderly lady. She happened to be the grandmother of the lady that was speaking at the event that night. She said, "Vicki, we have a question for you." And I said, "Oh, what's that, Polly?" And she said, "We want to know how you sparkle." Well, that comment took my breath away. But it was also a really profound question. And it made me think about what it is I do. Why would someone say that about me? And you know what I thought? I thought about everything that we have shared here today. Everything that we have shared here today is everything that I live with in my own life. I am 100% congruent with all of my teachings. And so the moral to the story is that you can sparkle too. And I look forward to watching you all sparkle over the coming couple of days. Tell your life where to go, so you don't wonder where it went. Thank you.